In the interest of being as esoteric as possible, I'd like to talk about part of a game that has no player input and takes no more than 30 seconds. Donkey Kong Country Returns' Moon Punch. For those unfamiliar, Donkey Kong punches the freaking moon out of its orbit, killing the Tiki Tak Tower that was plugging up his volcano by slamming a celestial body into it and restoring natural order to Donkey Kong Island. And in general, there are two major reactions to this. Yeah, Donkey Kong! And, really, Donkey Kong? DK's always been depicted as a physically strong character, but very rarely gets the chance to show the extent of it. A single uppercut to K. Rool at the end of DKC 2 and hurling around the Cactus King in Jungle Beat being his most notable feats of strength. While he's depicted as stronger too, the format of the Donkey Kong Country games rarely gives him the chance to show it, as Diddy has to be able to perform all the actions he can in gameplay, and the idea of DK being the strong one was taken over by Chunky in Donkey Kong 64. But hey, DK is the only one who can pull rusty levers. He had to take drugs in order to figure out how to do it, but that's character growth, baby. For a character who originally took inspiration from Popeye's Bluto, though, someone constantly defined by incredible machismo and muscle power, Donkey Kong's showings were decidedly lacking. The big guy seeming like a marginally more intelligent gorilla at best. But smacking the moon out of its orbit? Oh, that's some power. Not only does Donkey Kong get to take direct inspiration from the cartoons that inspired him, not only is this power alluded to by him being granted strength directly from the moon in the form of Jungle Beat's platinum crests, but DK gets to solidify himself as a character with one huge flashy moment that anyone can point back to and go, yeah, that was goofy, but that was pretty great. Donkey Kong finally gets that big moment of personality to match with the rest of his extended family. And it's one that surely proves that he is the leader of the bunch. Which would be great and all if it didn't stomp on the themes of celebrating nature that Donkey Kong Country touts so passionately. Sure, the Donkey Kong Country games are full of silly cartoon animals doing goofy things.
He can handstand just for you.
But the world they inhabit is so much greater and grander than they are. The landscapes populating the Donkey Kong Country games are awe-inspiring, rich with detail, history, and an appreciation for the environments they capture. We might scoff at the idea of taking DKC seriously as a piece of art, but then be entirely caught off guard in aquatic ambience, or forest interlude, or the chance of an ice cave in a snowbound land. There is true beauty in Donkey Kong's world, one that he seeks to protect at all costs. We see the damage that mechanization does to DK's world in DKC 1, feel the haunting loss of an entire island, an entire culture at the end of DKC 2, see how technology twists and perverts the natural order in DKC 3, and restore the land's goddess to her former glory by wiping it of an invading influence. And while the Kongs are very colorful characters, they ultimately are animals. Hyper-intelligent ones that lean on the fourth wall, but products of nature who will do everything they can to live in harmony with it. DK can be strong. Of course he can. Gorillas are strong. But to have his crowning achievement be so over the top and divorced from the world he loves? Moreover, to use part of that natural world as a comedy prop, one not even set up as important in the game it appears in? You're stretching the immersion kinda thin there, buddy. DK had a game leaning more into dopey cartoon nonsense, one where harmony with the natural world was downplayed in favor of fairly video gamey concepts and level designs. We don't usually celebrate that one. Why leave Returns on that same note when it so desperately wants to be, revive, and bask bask in the glory days of the country of old. There are elements of the Moon Punch that I'm not a fan of. I do think it's a huge outlier for the series and dominates the conversation about returns. I think Diddy's version where he crashes into the moon on accident is a neat bit of character, but takes away from the impact of DK's strength by turning it into a pure comedy. And yeah, I do think it diminishes the narrative of DK simply being the strongest force in the natural world by going a little too over the top with it. But I love the precedent it sets for DK as a character. Donkey Kong isn't the Popeye villain stand-in that his forefather was. But if push comes to shove and he needs to protect his home, DK will push himself to be as strong as it takes in the heat of that moment to save what he loves. And he doesn't need to get pissed off or break character to do so. He'll handle it with the same laid-back swagger he always exudes to pull off something outright unbelievable. I think the Moon Punch marks an evolution for Donkey Kong as a character. Rather than abandoning all that comes before, it elevates him as he's still bonded with nature, still looking to defend his home and family. But the reason that he is King of the Jungle is the incredible potential that bubbles up to the surface when he needs it most. And is it a silly little thing to focus on? Might it never come back or be topped? Yeah, but I think these little seeds, these small details, that thematic resonance that's not at the forefront of a series like Donkey Kong, but always present in the background, making up its identity and feel, are important to notice and nurture. These little details and moments are gonna stick with players, for better and for worse, and can be just as important to nail as good level design. DK punching the moon's been memorable. A bit over the top, but ever important in establishing what makes the big guy special. It makes you want to see what he's gonna do next. So let's sit back and wait. I'm sure he'll impress.